You are listening to the Chompcast, the official weekly Swordchomp podcast. My name is Morgan Barnes, and I am joined by some of the most insightful people I know. Joshua Fowler.
Yo.
Shay Layton.
Hello there.
And Anthony Fisher.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello indeed. We got all sorts of fun topics to discuss today on the podcast, including our headlining game, Hyper Light Drifter. We also have some really big news topics that everyone in the world has been weighing in on. We've been dying to talk about for weeks now, including the Nintendo Switch and Red Dead Redemption. Also, I guess there's this whole Saga Frontier game that we've been meaning to talk about, so we should probably do that.
Yeah.
Why not? It should be a great show, but, as always, let's get to some introductions for our listeners. Let's catch up with the crew. We haven't talked all week. Josh, how are you doing, Josh? How are you doing this week?
I'm doing all right. I'm getting over a cold virus something that the family decided to bring back with them.
That was very thoughtful of them.
Yeah. They went on vacation and, decided he doesn't really need anything. He has everything at this point. Let's get sick and come home with it.
We've given him. Wife has given you the gift of life with your beautiful children, and your children have given you a messy house. What more could you want other than a bucket full of phlegm?
Exactly.
Well, and you get to take those, you build those immunities, Josh. They love you. They want you to build stronger immunities so you can fight stronger viruses in the future.
Yeah. Or they're trying to kill me. Either way.
It's a commendable effort, but it's not as easy to do as you might think.
Yeah.
It's like a cockroach. And Josh has been hard at work all week on our website. And sorry, that came out wrong. Josh has been hard.
All week long, baby. I should really have someone look at it.
If after 4 hours you should seek medical attention.
Josh doesn't even need the magical pill. It's all natural. Hard at work on the website this week, so check out swordchomp.com when you get a chance. It's coming along. It's not completely where we want it to be yet by any means, but good work, Josh. I know it's been quite a labor for you.
Yeah, we're getting there. Slowly, but getting there.
Yeah.
It's already looking much improved, and I'm happy about it.
Yeah, good stuff. And so, I'm glad you're here. And as always, Fish, glad that you're joining us this week. How are you doing, Fish?
Glad to be here. I'm doing pretty well. Been spending some time with Hyper Light Drifter, playing it this week, and actually got into a show called, an HBO show called, the name just escapes me.
Westworld?
Westworld, yes. Westworld.
You got my hopes up and then dashed them, Fish.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I was hoping for an HBO show called Fuck, but I guess it was not in the cards.
Would be a show.
Right?
What's it called?
Fuck.
I gotta watch that. That's just a nice.
HBO... Oh, sorry, I was going to interrupt you.
To be fair, it's most HBO shows.
Yeah, well, that's on that. I was going to say that there's they still have that humorous softcore porn on HBO at the bottom. HBO late night.
I thought you were talking about Game of Thrones, but
oh well, me and Fish are caught up on game. Have you been watching Westworld? Is that worth watching? Because I want to get into that tonight, actually.
When I watched the pilot episode, the first episode of it, and I was intrigued by the end of it. When it first started out, I was like, oh, this is kind of weird. It's like a Western type of setting. I was like, this is weird. And then you find out that these people at this Westworld are actually robots. And it starts opening up this whole thing, and it turns out it's a theme park where people spend like $40,000 just to go there one day. And you can interact with these robots that are very indistinguishable from an actual person, but of course they are robots. So I guess the guests that visit there, they're called the guests, and the robots are actually the hosts, they call in the show. And so
it's like a really dark, twisted theme. So it's like Westworld is sort of like a play on like Disney World.
Yeah, it's kind of it's a sci-fi type of show where it's um you visit this theme park and you essentially figure out you could be whoever you want to be. And I guess the theme of
Cool.
the theme park in the show is they just want you to um, find out who you really are, which it goes into a lot of dark themes and everything. But it's a really good show, and I really like it so far. 4 episodes in, and I'm definitely hooked.
Who you really are. That sounds awesome. Who are you, Shay Layton?
I am
So I was like,
just
yeah, like my setup there. He's just holding off on me.
yeah, I'm just a guy. Just a man.
Just,
Just
just,
just a dude.
just a simple man. How have you been doing this week?
I've been incredibly stressed but good. I'm started my third job this week and started volunteering again with some English teaching at the university that I volunteer at. So it's just figuring figuring out time management again, just like I did when I was in school, has been a great time this week, I guess. But
Just wait until
exactly.
you add a child and a wife into that equation. That's gonna be fun.
Yeah. Well, I'm not gonna hold my breath on either of those, but Hyper Light Drifter was an exciting game. I'm really stoked to talk about that. I forcibly put you guys to gunpoint to make you and Josh play Saga Frontier to much chagrin, continued chagrin. So I'm actually excited to attempt to deflate the hate balloon that I'm sure is going to be
Wait,
blown up.
is hate soup or hate balloon, Josh? I'm really confused now.
It's hate soup, but I decided that this week it's going to be a hate balloon that I'm going to try and deflate before you guys release it. Fill it with your hate helium.
Okay.
I think it would be more
what-
like a hate hydrogen or something.
Ooh, there we go. Yeah.
I don't know.
Find out next week what gas we fill it with.
Well,
No.
people that don't know, like Saga Frontier, we'll talk about it later. It's kind of a funny thing because every now and then one of us has a game that means a lot to us from our past that, you might look at the show and see all these big topics and then be like, Saga Frontier, what the fuck? But it's just something that Shay really wanted us to try and talk with him, so that should be a lot of fun. But I actually wanted to segue to you, Shay, first because, or I guess save your introduction for last because you texted us several times while you were playing Hyper Light Drifter, which is our headlining game this week. Actually came out this year. It will be eligible for Game of the Year discussion, developed by Heart Machine. And you texted us several times this year several times this week about how you were rage quitting. You were like, fuck it, I hit this part, I'm rage quitting for the night. So what exactly is a rage quit and like what was going on?
So my rage quitting developed around the Call of Duty years of me playing, which is why I quit playing first person shooters online for the most part. But basically, it's when you get to the point in the game where you're so frustrated and you want to beat it so bad, but you're not thinking clearly. You're just like trying to brute force your way past a problem or force your way through a particular scenario in a game, and you're getting progressively worse and worse, and you're just ending up more and more frustrated. And at that point, it can range from as simple as like, I'm fucking done with this game. It can be very mellow like that, and then just politely turning it off, to where it develops into a very ridiculous thing like punching a hole through your wall because your game is lagging out on Call of Duty, which I'm guilty of, unfortunately. So, yeah, that's there's a range there of rage quitting, but this week it was just, I'm fucking done with this, and then turning it off and moving on with my life.
Well, and that's an interesting thing just to get you guys' thoughts on, because the difficulty about this game seems to be one of the prevailing thoughts that everyone wants to talk about. It's kind of loosely described as what, Josh, what they call it, like Zelda meets Dark Souls or something like that.
Something like that. Although, yeah.
But Josh is just great at everything. He was sending us messages all week, videos of him like beating what were you playing on, like hard mode or something?
The new game plus mode, which is it caps you at 2 hits for health, which is not the most inspired new game plus mode, but it works. And yeah, basically means that you have to do all the bosses pretty much perfectly.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Lots of fun.
Yeah, did you actually get those up on the YouTube? Because I remember you were sending those to us those all week, and I'm just like, man.
I got
that's
the
just
individual ones yet. I still haven't had a chance to edit them together, so it's not a bunch of really short videos that just haven't had a chance to get all of those put together yet.
Yeah,
So,
Josh,
yeah,
you
go ahead.
you made those fights look like cakewalk. Like I watched the first 4 of them, I think, because that's where I'm at in the game. I haven't beat it, but like the first 4 bosses that you did, I was just like, I was in awe. I was like, holy shit, how is he just like walking around these bosses and just calmly taking them down quickly and efficiently?
He did look so calm. There was like parts where he's just like, it's like almost like you knew exactly where to walk. It's so like do you just like I was being curious about that, Josh. Like you as a gamer, when you first like come up against something like that, are you like a pattern person? Do you just like take a while to just study the patterns and like sacrifice a life or two to just learn what it's going to do, or are you just sort of like going off sort of like intuition while you're in it? Because I noticed that you seem to be better at games than us, and it's just crazy.
A little bit of both. I mean, it's sad. My favorite game in the Metal Gear series is the first one. Well, not the first Metal Gear, but Metal Gear Solid. Just because the entire game was basically like clockwork puzzles. The way the AI actually worked in that game, which was to say, the lack of AI. So I enjoyed kind of seeing patterns and stuff and seeing how I can take advantage of it. Like a few of those fights there, I realized that they had breakpoints in them, where you could force the boss into a phase by doing a certain amount of damage. And so if I just was really aggressive, instead of taking my time on certain bosses, you could actually force it to do what you wanted. Which, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Well, I mean, I'm just curious. I mean, we'll just open it up from there. I mean, I'll open up the floor for you guys. I mean, how are you all feeling about this game? You guys seemed a lot more up on this game than myself. I just kind of wanted to know where you guys all stand on it. You guys all seem to really enjoy, other than the rage quitting that Shay was dealing with. Fish seemed to be getting into it. Fish, you were playing with fucking what? A PS4 controller? You're doing the whole PS4 controller on Steam thing now?
Yeah, when I loaded up the game, it said it's recommended that you use a controller with the game, and I was like, what? That's cool. And I remembered that Steam recently added support for the PS4 controller, so got me a USB controller, plugged it up to my PS4 controller, plugged it into the computer, and it worked like butter. That was it. I
Like
just
butter?
pretty much, it was smooth as fuck. I was just like, oh, this is awesome. And I've never used a game controller. I've never used like an Xbox 360 controller with a computer, and it was just like a new experience for me, I guess, using a gaming controller on a desktop essentially. And I love that fact that I was able to use a PS4 controller with it. But yeah, that game does handle real well with the controller, I think. I really can't see. Did anyone play it with like a mouse and keyboard? Because that was an option. I was just curious if any of you guys.
Yeah.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oy. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I regret doing that because like my philosophy was Hotline Miami was a game that needed to be played with a keyboard and mouse. And this game is slightly to similar mechanically with or akin to Hotline Miami. So I'll play it with a keyboard and a mouse. And that was the very wrong choice to make. And I knew that you guys were going to play it with a controller, so I actually purposefully kept going through it, even though I had a controller to use, because I wanted to kind of be able to build a comparison there, like since you guys used the controller and I didn't. And I fucking regret it immensely. Holy shit. That game was much, much harder than it needed to be by